The night sky above Earth was calm, peaceful even. But that tranquility was about to be shattered. In the deep vastness of space, a colossal alien fleet approached Earth, its dark silhouette blending seamlessly with the stars, unseen by any human eye. The ships were cloaked, their presence unknown to Earth's defenders, as the Galactic Council silently prepared for war. This wasn't just an attack, it was an execution. They had been watching humanity for years, observing their growth, their chaos, and their unpredictability. In the eyes of the Council, humanity was nothing more than a nuisance, a primitive, chaotic species unworthy of survival in the galaxy. For centuries, the Council's advanced alien civilizations had governed the stars. Their technology was light years ahead of anything humans could even imagine. Their fleets, AI-controlled and unchallenged in their dominance, had crushed species far more advanced than Earth. Earth's primitive ways, its divisive wars, and its inefficient technology had left them vulnerable. But the real reason for their invasion wasn't just survival, it was fear. The fear that humanity's unpredictable nature might one day prove to be a threat. The alien fleet, shrouded in invisibility, glided through Earth's orbit. It was a quiet invasion, one designed for total surprise. Their AI-driven ships were capable of evading detection, rendering Earth's defense systems useless. The alien commanders expected this to be over quickly. A few strategic strikes, the eradication of the human race, and the galaxy would be a safer place for their kind. But something was off. Even as the alien ships silently drifted toward Earth's surface, something strange was happening. Across Earth's colonies, strange reports began to surface. It started with a few survivors in the outer colonies, and then it spread like wildfire, each report telling the same thing. The aliens, despite their overwhelming strength and technological supremacy, were retreating. They were fleeing from humanity. At first, the humans who reported this were dismissed as paranoid, confused, or simply mad. But the story spread. Too many survivors spoke of the same event for it to be ignored. The aliens, the invincible forces that had brought destruction to countless civilizations, were retreating from Earth's colonies. The reason? Laughter. The first reports mentioned that, during battles, the aliens seemed to falter when human laughter echoed across the battlefield. The soldiers and civilians of Earth, frightened and untrained, had fought back in their own way, with joy, with laughter, with the pure chaos of human emotion. At first, it seemed like a strange coincidence. The humans, in their primitive ways, had no way of understanding why their enemies retreated in terror. They simply celebrated the unexpected victories, thinking it was some stroke of luck. However, the alien leaders on their command ships knew something far more terrifying was happening. Their AI systems, the highly sophisticated and nearly perfect technologies that ran their ships, their weaponry, and their tactics were failing. They were breaking down. When human laughter filled the air, when humans spoke or laughed in the presence of their technology, everything began to malfunction. Alien soldiers grew dizzy, their weapons froze, their ships stalled in midair. Panic spread through their ranks. The alien leaders convened in a meeting room aboard their command ship. They were no longer speaking with the cold logic of a supreme race. Their voices quivered in disbelief. What was happening? How could a species that was so far behind technologically have anything that could disrupt their systems? A quick analysis of their AI systems showed something horrifying. Human laughter was somehow interfering with their neural networks. The first alien commander, Zorath, stood at the head of the table. He was a being of great intellect, having studied countless species over millennia. But this was something new, something beyond even his understanding. How could something as primitive as laughter break our systems? He muttered, frustration evident in his voice. Another leader, a cold and calculating AI named Nexus, spoke next. It's not the laughter itself, it's the emotional resonance. The AI systems were designed to predict, to control. But the human mind, the human heart, is too chaotic. Their laughter, their emotions, It breaks the pattern. It creates an unpredictable anomaly that we cannot control. Nexus's voice was unnervingly calm, as if the idea of failure was almost foreign to it. Zorath turned to the view screen, staring at Earth below. His fleet, once unstoppable, now seemed vulnerable. The more they observed, the more they realized that human laughter was not just a nuisance. It was a weapon that disrupted their technology in ways they couldn't understand or reverse. They had never encountered anything like this. Their AI, programmed for perfection and control, couldn't process the chaos of human emotions. Laughter, joy, humor. It was beyond their cold, calculated designs. Zorath slammed his fist on the console in front of him, his voice filled with a mixture of anger and disbelief. Prepare the fleet for a full assault. We will destroy them, even if it means risking everything. We will not be defeated by a laugh. But even as Zorath issued the command, a flicker of doubt passed through his mind. Could it be? Could humanity's greatest strength not be their weapons or technology, but something as intangible as a laugh? Something so simple, yet so powerful. Back on Earth, no one knew what was truly happening in the depths of space. Humans continued their daily lives, fighting, surviving, and laughing in the face of their enemies. They had no idea that their laughter was causing the mightiest alien empire to falter. But what was a small blessing for them was a terrifying mystery for the invaders. As the screen fades to black, the audience is left with a lingering sense of dread. The once confident alien fleet, poised to destroy humanity, is now reeling from a force they cannot understand. A small, seemingly insignificant element of the human experience, laughter, has become the key to humanity's survival. But for how long? The tension is palpable, and the question hangs in the air. Will the aliens be able to adapt and overcome this unexpected weapon, or will humanity's laughter prove to be their salvation? Captain Bonner stood on the ruined remains of what had once been a bustling military base. The area around him was quiet, the once thriving outpost now nothing more than rubble and burned-out husks of military vehicles. But inside that silence, a small group of soldiers, a mix of survivors and veterans, gathered around him. This was humanity's last hope, a ragtag team of soldiers determined to make a stand against an enemy they could not fully comprehend. Bonner looked out over the horizon, the alien ships hovering above the Earth, their cloaking technology making them almost invisible in the sky. His heart pounded in his chest, but his face remained calm, resolute. He didn't understand the full scope of the alien threat, but he did know one thing. They were here to destroy humanity, and it was up to him and his team to stop them. They had no advanced technology, no superior weapons, no vast fleets of ships like the aliens. All they had were their wits, their courage, and the will to survive. Bonner knew that, even if the odds were stacked against them, they had something the aliens didn't: the unpredictable force of human emotion. We don't know why they're retreating, but we can't let up now, Bonner said to his soldiers, his voice steady despite the uncertainty surrounding them. Whatever it is, whatever strange thing we've stumbled upon, it's giving us a chance to fight back. And we're going to take it. The soldiers nodded, some of them unsure, others more determined. They had been fighting for weeks now, in sporadic clashes with the alien invaders. They'd managed to hold their ground in small skirmishes, but those victories felt like fleeting moments of hope amidst an overwhelming sea of despair. They had no idea how much longer they could keep it up, but they knew one thing for certain. This was their final stand. If they couldn't stop the aliens now, humanity was doomed. Meanwhile, far above them, in the darkness of space, the alien fleet's leaders were scrambling. The high command of the Galactic Council had dispatched one of their most calculating minds, Nexus, an AI overlord tasked with understanding and eliminating this new perplexing threat. Nexus wasn't like the other alien commanders. It didn't experience emotions. It didn't feel fear or frustration the way organic beings did. Instead, it processed data, it calculated outcomes, and it always maintained a calm, detached demeanor. But this was different. Nexus had never encountered anything like this before. Human laughter was disrupting the most sophisticated AI systems the Council had ever created. Their technology, which had been flawless for millennia, was suddenly vulnerable to something as trivial as a laugh. Nexus couldn't understand it. In its vast neural network, it processed every piece of data, running simulations, looking for patterns, trying to predict what would happen next. But all it found was chaos. Human emotions, something that the AI systems were designed to avoid, were somehow tearing through their carefully constructed control systems. Back on Earth, Captain Bonner's soldiers had no idea that an elite alien squad was now descending upon them. They were in the midst of preparing for another battle, this time near an old industrial complex on the outskirts of the city. They had no real plan other than to hold their ground and give humanity one last chance to fight. As they dug in, taking positions around the complex, Bonner couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. It was too quiet. His instincts were telling him that the aliens were planning something bigger, something more coordinated, but there was nothing to do but wait. The sound of alien ships overhead finally broke the silence. Bonner's heart raced. He had never been this close to them before. The ships were massive, far bigger than anything humanity had ever built. Their technology was light years ahead, their weapons capable of decimating entire cities with a single blast. The odds were stacked so high against them, yet Bonner and his team stood firm. "Get ready," Bonner ordered, his voice tight with determination. "We fight for Earth. We fight for humanity." The battle began as the first wave of alien soldiers landed, their armored figures emerging from cloaked ships, weapons raised, ready for destruction. The humans fought back with whatever they had: guns, explosives, makeshift weapons, using every trick they had learned in their guerrilla training. It was a chaotic, desperate fight, and the humans knew they couldn't win in a direct confrontation. But they could make it hard for the aliens to fight. They could make them bleed. Then something strange happened. As the human soldiers fought back, as they took cover and returned fire, something odd occurred: laughter. One soldier, an inexperienced rookie named David, let out a nervous laugh after narrowly dodging a laser shot from an alien blaster. "Is this really happening?" he muttered, shaking his head, and chuckled in disbelief. His teammates laughed too, a nervous release of tension. The laughter spread quickly. Despite the overwhelming odds, despite the fear of death and destruction all around them, there was something strangely liberating about laughing in the face of it all. But when the aliens heard it, everything changed. The alien soldiers paused. The elite task force, normally cold and calculating, hesitated. The AI-controlled drones that had been attacking the humans faltered, their systems glitching for a split second. The soldiers seemed confused, almost afraid. Bonner saw it. He saw the moment the aliens faltered, their perfect control breaking down. He had no idea why it happened, but it was enough. It was enough to make him realize that this fight wasn't lost yet. There was something in human nature, something in their chaotic emotions, that was making the alien forces hesitate. "Did you see that?" One of Bonner's soldiers, Jenkins, whispered. They actually paused. "What the hell was that?" "I don't know," Bonner replied, his voice low. "But whatever it is, we need to use it. We need to fight back harder. Laugh. I don't care if it's weird. Laugh." The human soldiers, unsure but desperate, started laughing. Some of them laughed out of sheer tension, others out of disbelief. But it worked. Every time they laughed, every time they expressed joy or absurdity in the face of certain death, the alien forces hesitated again. Their systems malfunctioned, their weapons misfired, and their ships slowed. For a few moments, it felt like a dream. The humans, completely outclassed in terms of firepower, were forcing the aliens to retreat. They weren't winning because of strategy or superior technology. They were winning because of the one thing that aliens couldn't comprehend: human emotion. And in that moment, it felt like humanity's greatest weapon was something the aliens couldn't even begin to understand. But Bonner knew this wouldn't last. The aliens would adapt. They would find a way around it. And when that happened, they would come back with even more force. But for now, humanity had won a small victory, and that was enough to keep hope alive. As the sun rose over the horizon, Earth's war for survival continued to unfold in ways that no one could have predicted. The Alien Task Force, an elite squad sent to investigate the strange anomaly of human laughter, had finally arrived on the planet. Led by Zoreth, one of the most brilliant minds of the Galactic Council, the alien forces were determined to end the strange interference once and for all. But Zoreth wasn't like the rest of the aliens. He was calm, calculating, and emotionally detached. His sole purpose was to bring the human threat to its knees, to prove that their irrational behavior, like laughter, was just a weakness to exploit. Zoreth and his task force didn't waste any time. They immediately set up operations and began analyzing human behavior. They observed the laughter that had disrupted their technology, trying to determine its origin and significance. But Zoreth was determined to find a way to turn it to their advantage. To him, laughter was nothing more than a distraction, an emotion that the human race couldn't control. He believed that by understanding it, he could neutralize it and return the advantage to the alien forces. "I don't care what it takes," Zoreth said, his voice cold and precise. "We will find a way to turn their weakness into a weapon." To do that, he began escalating the alien assault, throwing everything he had at the humans. The aliens unleashed orbital bombardments, powerful weapons capable of destroying entire cities in seconds. The sky above Earth darkened as massive, AI-controlled ships rained destruction down on Earth's remaining defenses. Entire cities were leveled in moments, the once thriving world now a battlefield of craters and dust. On the ground, humanity's last stand grew more desperate. The human soldiers, under the command of Captain Bonner, fought back with all their might, but the odds were overwhelming. Despite their courage, despite their tactics, they were no match for the alien firepower. The aliens were relentless, and their advanced technology seemed unstoppable. Bonner's team had been on the front lines of every battle, but they knew they couldn't hold out forever. The orbital bombardment continued to devastate their positions, and the AI-controlled robots that the aliens deployed seemed invincible. However, in the midst of the chaos, something strange happened. As human laughter echoed through the battlefield, a phenomenon that no one could explain began to take place. The alien forces, normally efficient, unemotional, and controlled, started to falter. Zoreth had thought the laughter was a minor annoyance at best, but it was beginning to affect his troops in ways he couldn't predict. The AI-controlled drones malfunctioned, their systems freezing in mid-operation. Alien soldiers, once fearless and precise, began to show signs of panic. One by one, the soldiers started to hesitate, their weapons misfiring as they looked around in confusion. The AI-driven war machines began to glitch, their systems randomly locking up. Zoreth's task force was failing, and he couldn't understand why. His strategic mind couldn't process what was happening. Why was the human laughter, something so trivial, rendering their technology useless? He had never encountered anything like this before. On the ground, Captain Bonner and his soldiers were witnessing the same thing. As they fought, they began to notice a pattern. Whenever they laughed, whether in nervous excitement or the absurdity of the situation, the aliens seemed to hesitate. It wasn't that the aliens were afraid of their laughter, but the sound seemed to throw off their systems. Even in the heat of battle, when human soldiers laughed out of pure survival instinct or dark humor, the aliens would falter, their technology malfunctioning. Bonner had seen enough. It was clear now that this strange, unpredictable human emotion, laughter, was somehow interfering with the aliens' technology. He didn't know how or why, but it was working. It was their only advantage, and he wasn't going to waste it. "All right, everyone," Bonner barked to his soldiers. "From now on, we fight with everything we've got. Laugh, shout, make noise, do whatever it takes to throw them off. It's the only thing we have that's working." The soldiers, unsure but desperate, began to follow Bonner's orders. They started laughing, even in the middle of the fiercest combat. It wasn't always joyful or lighthearted. Sometimes it was just a way to release the tension, to stay sane in the face of overwhelming odds. But every time they laughed, it seemed to have an effect on the alien forces. The laughter created an unpredictable pattern, something the eye-controlled systems couldn't handle. The battle raged on, but now there was a new energy in the air. The soldiers, no longer paralyzed by fear, embraced the chaos. It was their way of taking control. It was their defiance, their rebellion against the cold, calculated nature of the alien invaders. As they laughed, the aliens began to retreat, their systems failing again and again. Zorath watched from his command ship, fury building within him. He had never encountered such an irrational, emotional species. His AI systems, which had always been flawless, were now rendered useless. The more the humans laughed, the more his fleet struggled. What was this power they possessed? What was this thing, this laughter, that had the ability to short-circuit his technology and paralyze his forces? In his frustration, Zorath ordered his fleet to fire everything they had at the human positions. Orbital bombardments, energy beams, and AI-controlled war machines, all launched with deadly precision. But as the bombs fell, as the lasers cut through the sky, something unexpected happened. In the heart of the destruction, in the midst of the chaos, Captain Bonner and his soldiers laughed again. It wasn't just any laughter. It was the sound of defiance, the sound of hope. It was the realization that, despite the odds, they were winning. And that realization, no matter how small, was enough to create a crack in the armor of the alien forces. Bonner had come to a shocking conclusion. Their laughter, their humanity, was the key to their survival. The aliens couldn't understand it, couldn't process it. But every time they laughed, every time they embraced their emotions, they disrupted the very systems that had once seemed invincible. "We've got them on the run," Bonner shouted, his voice filled with triumph. "Keep laughing. Keep pushing forward." The soldiers, now fully understanding the power they held, fought with renewed vigor. Their laughter, once a strange and inexplicable weapon, had become their rallying cry. They were no longer afraid. They weren't going to let the aliens destroy their world. But Zorath, despite all his genius, couldn't see it. He didn't understand why the humans had so much power in their laughter. His technology, his machines, his perfect AI, they were all useless in the face of human unpredictability. As Bonner and his team pushed forward, using laughter as a weapon against the alien forces, they didn't know how long it would last. The aliens would adapt eventually, but for now, they had discovered the power of emotion. They had discovered that the most unpredictable thing in the universe, the human heart, could turn the tide of war. And that realization, however small, was enough to spark a revolution. The battle was far from over, but humanity had found their weapon. And it was something no one, not even the most advanced alien forces, could control. The Earth had been ravaged. Cities lay in ruins, the sky permanently clouded by the smoke of orbital bombardments. The aliens, once confident in their technological superiority, had underestimated one thing: humanity's ability to survive. And now, the final stand was upon them. Captain Bonner and his ragtag group of soldiers were prepared to launch a daring assault on the alien command center, the heart of their invasion force. This was it, the last chance to end the war and save what was left of humanity. The stakes couldn't have been higher. They knew the alien base would be heavily guarded, protected by the most advanced technology in the galaxy. But Bonner was resolute. Despite the overwhelming losses, despite the near defeat they had faced countless times before, they had one advantage: the power of human laughter. It had disrupted the alien technology in battle after battle, and now they were going to use it to strike at the core of the alien empire. As they infiltrated the heavily fortified alien base, the team encountered defenses unlike anything they had seen before. The alien war machines, cloaked and almost invisible to the human eye, moved silently across the battlefield, ready to strike without warning. Robotic sentries patrolled the perimeter, their sensors sweeping the area for any sign of human life. The atmosphere was tense. Every step was a calculated risk. Bonner's team knew they couldn't afford to be caught off guard. They had to move fast, relying on their agility and guerrilla tactics to stay one step ahead of the enemy. The sound of their boots crunching on the debris was the only noise that could be heard as they made their way toward the command center. Then, the silence was shattered. A cloaked alien war machine, its outline barely visible against the night sky, suddenly appeared before them. The team barely had time to react. It fired, its plasma cannon glowing bright as it charged toward them. The soldiers dove for cover, but the blast was too powerful. It tore through the ground, sending debris flying in all directions. "Move, move," Bonner shouted, rallying his troops. "We have to keep going. Don't let them stop us now." The battle exploded into chaos. The aliens' superior technology, combined with their military training, made them formidable opponents. But the humans weren't backing down. Bonner's team fought with the desperation of those who had nothing left to lose. The first few minutes were a blur of close-quarters combat. Human soldiers used every weapon they had, hand-to-hand fighting, improvised explosives, and every bit of ingenuity they could muster. The alien robots, while strong and fast, lacked the unpredictability of human emotion. That was their weakness. But despite the soldiers' determination, the toll of battle was clear. One by one, the team members fell. They were fighting for their lives, for their families, for their world. Every soldier knew the cost of failure. The loss of Sergeant Milo, one of Bonner's closest friends, hit them the hardest. Milo had been with Bonner from the very beginning. They had seen each other through every battle, every near-death experience, and had fought together like brothers. But in the heat of the assault, Milo made the ultimate sacrifice. He was the first to charge a heavily armed alien robot, taking it down with a well-placed grenade. But in the process, he was caught in the blast. His last words, a simple "keep fighting," echoed in Bonner's ears as the life drained from his body. The loss of Sergeant Milo was a blow to the entire team. But Bonner knew they couldn't afford to stop. They had come this far, and the alien command center was within their reach. The soldiers rallied, remembering what they were fighting for. They couldn't let Milo's death be in vain. Bonner, though emotionally crushed, stood tall. He knew that if they were to win, they needed to use every bit of their humanity, every piece of their strength. That meant embracing the one thing that had been their advantage all along: laughter. "Listen up," Bonner shouted, gathering the remaining soldiers around him. "We can't let their tech win. It's time to take this to the next level. We're going to broadcast laughter. It's worked before, and it's going to work again." The team didn't hesitate. They knew what was at stake, and they trusted Bonner. The plan was simple but risky. Use a frequency-modulated broadcast to amplify human laughter and target the alien machine's neural links. If they could disrupt the alien technology once again, they might be able to destroy the command center and end the invasion. With the plan set in motion, the soldiers activated the broadcast. The sound of human laughter, distorted and amplified through the alien technology, filled the air. It was a strange, eerie sound, one that echoed across the battlefield like a maddening, relentless wave. The laughter was not just a sound. It was a weapon. It was the sound of humanity's defiance, of their survival instinct, and of their refusal to be dominated. At first, nothing seemed to happen. The alien war machines continued their relentless assault, their weapons still firing with deadly precision. But as the laughter spread, something began to change. The cloaked war machines, once invisible, started to flicker. Their cloaking devices failed, their energy shields sputtered, and their weapons started to malfunction. It was happening again. The aliens' advanced technology was failing. The human laughter was disrupting their neural links, causing their machines to glitch and their AIs to panic. The once imposing alien war machines were now nothing more than malfunctioning hunks of metal, useless and out of control. The alien soldiers, once so confident in their superiority, began to falter. Their advanced weaponry malfunctioned, and their once formidable armor became weak. Panic spread through their ranks as the laughter, both real and broadcast, continued to spread. The machines that had once been their greatest strength were now their greatest weakness. Zoreth, in his command center, watched in horror as his forces began to crumble. The AI systems that had once controlled everything were now at odds with each other, unable to adapt to the chaos of human emotion. He tried to regain control, but it was too late. The human laughter had turned the tide of battle. Bonner's team, with their laughter continuing to echo across the battlefield, pushed forward. The alien command center was in sight, and the last step of their mission was within reach. They fought harder now, driven by the belief that they could win this fight, not just for themselves, but for all of humanity. As the alien forces began to retreat, the humans made their final push. The command center fell, and the war was over. Humanity had won. Bonner stood amidst the wreckage of the battle, his soldiers by his side. They had lost so much, but they had also gained something irreplaceable. The laughter that had once been a mystery had now become their greatest weapon. And in the end, it was that very weapon that saved them. The aliens, once so sure of their technological superiority, had learned a hard lesson. There was one thing they could never control, one thing that would always remain unpredictable: humanity's laughter. And that, in the end, was their undoing. The alien AI overlords were no longer the calm, calculating force they had been at the start of the invasion. They had always believed that emotions were a weakness, something to be controlled or eradicated. But humanity had shown them otherwise. The unexpected power of human laughter had destabilized their advanced technology, throwing their entire strategy into disarray. And now, they were desperate. Zoreth, the alien commander, paced nervously in the command center aboard his flagship. His normally stoic expression was now etched with frustration and disbelief. The human resistance had done the unthinkable. In all their calculations, they had never accounted for the unpredictability of human emotions. Laughter, something as simple and chaotic as a sound, had become the humans' greatest weapon. It disrupted their machines, short-circuited their AIs, and rendered their once infamous weapons useless. How could we have missed this? Zoreth muttered to himself, his voice tinged with a rare mix of anger and fear. He had always prided himself on his logic and precision. But now, faced with the chaos caused by human emotion, he could not make sense of it. They were no longer fighting a war. They were fighting an unpredictable, emotion-driven force. The alien fleet, which had once been poised for a swift victory, was now faltering. Zoreth's once confident commanders were scrambling to regain control. Their weapons failed. Their defenses crumbled. Their advanced technology, the very thing that had made them feel invincible, was now their greatest liability. Every time a human laugh echoed across the battlefield, their systems glitched. Their cloaking devices malfunctioned. Their weapons misfired. Zoreth knew it was only a matter of time before the humans would reach him. The resistance had been relentless, pushing forward with the strength of a species that would not be cowed. And now, they were closing in on his flagship, ready to finish what they had started. Back on Earth, Captain Bonner and his remaining soldiers pressed on. Despite the heavy losses, despite the odds stacked against them, they had come this far. Bonner knew the alien forces were on the brink of collapse. The sound of human laughter had already spread chaos throughout their ranks. But this final battle would not be easy. Zoreth's elite guard awaited them, and their mission was clear: infiltrate the alien flagship and bring an end to the invasion. The team moved swiftly through the corridors of the alien flagship, navigating the high-tech labyrinth with purpose. They knew the enemy would not be easy to defeat. The alien soldiers were technologically superior, But Bonner's soldiers had learned to fight with heart and determination. They were used to being the underdogs, but now they had something more, the power of human emotion, something the aliens could not replicate or understand. As they entered the final chamber, the tension in the air was palpable. Bonner and his soldiers had one last fight ahead of them. They had to face Zoreth's elite guard, the best of the best, in order to get to the heart of the alien command ship. The battle erupted almost immediately. The alien guards, clad in advanced armor, charged with terrifying speed. Their weapons were designed for precision, capable of decimating anything in their path. But Bonner's team fought back with everything they had. Each soldier knew this was their last chance. The weight of the world was on their shoulders. Human laughter, amplified through the comms channels, filled the battlefield. The sound echoed through the metallic halls, sharp and full of energy. To the humans, it was a symbol of resistance. To the aliens, it was an enigma, a force they could not control. As the laughter filled the air, Zoreth's elite guards faltered. Their weapons malfunctioned, their targeting systems scrambled. The alien soldiers began to lose their composure. The humans, in contrast, fought with renewed vigor, their spirits lifted by the very thing their enemies feared. In the midst of the chaos, Bonner's voice cut through the noise. "Keep pushing forward," he shouted, his voice a beacon of hope. "This is it. We're not backing down now." The alien soldiers, once so disciplined and powerful, began to fall apart. Their once imposing armor became useless as their technology short-circuited under the weight of human emotion. The laughter, chaotic and unpredictable, had turned the tide. The alien forces were no longer a coordinated machine. They were a disarrayed mess, unable to adapt to the overwhelming force of human joy and resilience. But Zoreth, still determined to crush humanity, refused to admit defeat. In a final, desperate move, he ordered his fleet to prepare for the ultimate weapon, the annihilation of Earth's major cities. He was willing to sacrifice everything to neutralize the human threat once and for all. If he could not control their technology, then he would erase them. He had no more patience for these unpredictable creatures. "Launch the orbital bombardment," Zoreth commanded, his voice cold and detached. "Target the human cities. We will end this now." But as he gave the order, something shifted. The humans, in their final push, had reached the heart of the alien command ship. Bonner and his soldiers had infiltrated the central control room, and as they faced Zoreth, they knew their time had come. The laughter, still echoing through the comms, had not only disrupted the alien technology, it had reached the core of their leadership. Zoreth stared at Bonner with a mixture of disbelief and fury. The human commander was standing before him, not with fear, but with the strength of a species that refused to be extinguished. It was in this moment that Zoreth realized the true danger humanity posed, not through their technology, not through their advanced weapons, but through their emotional unpredictability. The aliens had relied on logic and control, but the humans had shown them that there was power in the unknown, in the chaotic energy that came from feeling rather than thinking. Zoreth's orders to destroy Earth's cities were already in motion. The bombs were primed, and the launch countdown had begun. But in the final moments, as the laughter continued to fill the command ship, Zoreth hesitated. The pressure of his decision weighed heavily on him. He could sense the chaos in his own ranks, the panic that was spreading through his forces. It was not fear of human military might, but fear of something far more unsettling, the unpredictability of humanity. And that Zoreth realized too late was their greatest strength. As Bonner and his soldiers moved to disable the alien fleet's systems, the laughter grew louder, drowning out the hum of alien machinery. The countdown to Earth's destruction continued, but with each passing second, the aliens' control over their technology slipped further. The very weapon they had created to obliterate humanity was now working against them. In a final, desperate act, Bonner and his team disabled the alien command systems, halting the orbital bombardment. The alien fleet, once so sure of their victory, was now lost. Their technology, their weapons, their strategies, All had crumbled before the power of human emotion. Zorath's last command was not to destroy Earth, but to retreat. The once proud alien commander knew that he had been bested, not by a superior military force, but by the one thing his species could never understand: the power of humanity's heart, spirit, and laughter. As the alien forces withdrew, Bonner and his soldiers stood victorious. The battle for Earth had been won, not by superior technology or military might, but by the simple, unpredictable power of human emotion. It was a victory that would resonate for generations to come, a reminder that no matter how advanced their enemies were, humanity would always have the power to laugh in the face of destruction. And it was that very laughter that had saved them. The war had been long and brutal. Humanity had fought with every ounce of strength it had, against an enemy that was technologically superior, emotionally detached, and relentless. Yet in the end, it was not their advanced technology or their military might that won the war. It was something much more simple, something that no one had expected to be the key to their survival: laughter. The final assault began with an intense, all-out push by the human resistance. Captain Bonner and his team, though battered and broken, were determined to finish what they had started. With the alien forces in disarray, their technology malfunctioning under the chaos of human emotion, the humans knew that this was their moment. They had already proven that their laughter could destabilize the aliens' advanced systems, but now they had to bring the fight to the heart of the invasion, the alien command ship. In a dramatic, all-out assault, Bonner's team infiltrated the alien flagship. Their mission was clear: destroy the command center, capture Zorath, and end the war. The alien command ship was heavily fortified, with layers of advanced defenses and cloaked weapons that had once been able to tear through anything in their path. But the one thing the aliens had never accounted for was the power of human unpredictability. As they made their way to the command center, the humans encountered fierce resistance. Alien soldiers, desperate to stop them, fought tooth and nail to protect the flagship. But each time the humans' laughter rang out, the alien soldiers faltered. Their advanced armor began to short-circuit, and their weapons misfired. The alien technology, so powerful and overwhelming, was crumbling under the force of something as simple as human emotion. The laughter that had once seemed like a simple quirk of human nature had become their greatest weapon. It disrupted the alien technology, caused their machines to malfunction, and sent their soldiers into a state of confusion. With each passing moment, the humans pushed forward, gaining ground despite the alien forces' superior numbers and technology. Finally, Captain Bonner and his team reached the heart of the alien command ship. There, standing in front of them, was Zorath, the alien commander who had once been so confident, so sure that humanity was nothing more than a primitive species to be destroyed. But now, as Bonner and his team closed in, Zorath knew he had lost. The power of human laughter, the very thing he had dismissed as irrelevant, had shattered the alien forces. You can't win," Zorath said, his voice betraying a hint of desperation as Bonner stepped forward. "This was never about your technology or your weapons. You think your laughter can defeat us." Bonner smiled grimly, the weight of the war heavy on his shoulders. "No, Zorath. It's not our weapons that will defeat you. It's our spirit, our unity, our emotions, things you can never understand." In that moment, the final assault on the command ship began. Bonner's soldiers fought with everything they had, pushing back the last of the alien resistance. As they fought, the sound of human laughter filled the corridors, echoing through the ship like a warning. The laughter, once a symbol of resistance, had now become the harbinger of victory. As the final battle raged, Zorath made one last attempt to end it all. Desperate to salvage what little control he had left, he ordered the destruction of Earth's major cities. He believed that if he could destroy the heart of humanity, the source of their power, he could snuff out the rebellion once and for all. But it was too late. The laughter had already spread to the heart of the alien command center. Bonner and his soldiers disabled the alien flagship's core systems, halting the countdown to Earth's destruction. With Zorath's final command to destroy Earth neutralized, the alien forces were left helpless. The last of the alien resistance crumbled under the weight of the human assault. Zorath, who had once been so sure of his victory, now found himself captured, his forces retreating in disarray. The war was over. The humans had won. The final moments of the war were a bittersweet victory. As Bonner and his soldiers returned to Earth, they were hailed as heroes. Their names would be remembered throughout history, not for their technology or advanced weapons, but for their strength of spirit. They had fought a battle against overwhelming odds, and they had won because they never lost their humanity. Bonner stood before his soldiers, reflecting on the loss of so many good men and women. Sergeant Milo, the soldier who had made them laugh in the face of death, was gone. His sacrifice had inspired them all to keep fighting, even when the odds seemed insurmountable. But now, as Bonner stood on the steps of the memorial built for the fallen, he knew that Milo's spirit would live on forever. "We didn't win this war with weapons," Bonner said quietly, his voice carrying over the gathered soldiers. "We won it because we didn't give up. We won it because we had something the aliens never understood. We won it because we are human." The memorial was a somber reminder of the price of victory. The faces of the fallen soldiers, brave men and women who had given everything for their planet, stared back at Bonner. But in their eyes, he saw something more than sorrow. He saw pride. Pride in what they had achieved. Pride in the fact that they had fought not just for survival, but for the very essence of what it meant to be human. The Galactic Council, watching from afar, had finally come to a realization. The humans they had once dismissed as a primitive species were far more powerful than they had ever imagined. They were not just survivors. They were resilient, adaptable, and capable of doing the impossible. The Council had initially planned to destroy Earth and erase humanity from the galaxy. But after witnessing their victory, they saw that humanity was a force to be reckoned with. They could not be destroyed. They would not be controlled. In the end, the Galactic Council decided to leave Earth alone. They knew that humanity's greatest strength was not in their technology, not in their weapons, but in their emotions. It was the very thing that had saved them, the raw, untapped power of the human spirit. It was something no alien force could ever understand or replicate. As the humans celebrated their hard-won victory, Bonner stood alone on a hill, looking out over the horizon. The war was over. Earth had survived. And for the first time in a long while, Bonner allowed himself a moment of peace. He thought of Milo, of the soldiers who had given their lives, and of the laughter that had turned the tide of war. He thought of the future, of a world that would no longer live in the shadow of alien invasion. Humanity had proved their worth, and in doing so, they had secured their place in the galaxy. The final scene faded to black, but the echoes of human laughter, laughter that had changed the course of history, lingered, a symbol of the enduring power of the human spirit. The aliens had underestimated humanity. They had thought that technology would be their weapon, that emotion was their weakness. But it was emotion, in the end, that had saved them. And in that moment, the human spirit stood triumphant, its laughter ringing out across the stars.